What is yeast infection discharge? A yeast infection, also known as thrush or candidiasis, is typically accompanied by a thick, whitish yeast infection discharge. Vaginal yeast infection discharge is usually identified along an inflamed vagina. Yeast infection symptoms that manifest close to the mouth are normally accompanied by white spots across the lips instead of the popular discharge. The obvious discharge residue around the vagina is named Candida albicans, that is a naturally forming fungus. The fungus is usually a sort of yeast. When talking about yeast infections, people are generally referring to the kind knowledgeable by roughly 3 out of 4 girls within their lifetimes. Described as a variety of vaginitis, a vaginal yeast infection normally consists of an inflamed vagina, area suffering, itchiness, plus a yeast infection discharge. It is commonly connected to sexually transmitted ailments, STDs, although it technically doesn't tumble underneath that umbrella. Females who don't participate in sexual intercourse acts are still ready to be contaminated. Vaginal yeast infections as well as affiliated yeast infection discharge can be contracted by oral intercourse among other matters. It truly is triggered, however, by Candida, the particular fungus. Healthful vaginas contain a proportionate degree of equally Candida and germs. When that equilibrium is skewed, the quantity of yeast begins promptly escalating. A woman can practically experience yeast infection discharge after a range of occurrences. When a woman's body, exclusively her vagina, is introduced to new or distinctive pursuits, it reacts. Activities which include douching, antibiotic use, a drastic adjust in one's diet, or several different sexual companions could cause the genital area to be irritated. The vagina reacts by making much more yeast, which results in the thick, curd-like discharge. Remnants of it could be located on underwear or toilet paper. This discharge is normally described as on the lookout, much like cottage cheese. White or gray in color, the yeast infection discharge is mostly quite visible. The odor might differ from gentle to a little more powerful than ordinary, but this odor is usually affiliated with the vulva as an alternative to the yeast infection by itself. Many medical professionals suggest that douching has become the vaginal region's most important enemies. A combination of H2O and mild cleaning soap is often proposed instead of the scented vinegar resolution that comes with douching. In an effort to treat a yeast infection with prescription medication, the girl needs to start with be examined by a doctor. Frequently, a family member's exercise physician, gynecologist, or sexual well-being clinic physician can complete such examinations. Throughout the exam, the medical doctor will gather the client's health-related history and check her documents, execute a fundamental pelvic test and perhaps have some cultures and vaginal secretions sent to your laboratory for analysis. Most yeast bacterial infections are fairly basic and simple to diagnosis. Having said that, visit the website. Click below.
I hope you enjoyed our review. If you would like to order this product or see further details, then simply head over to the website address you see on the screen right now.